Well,
Ilya, how does it feel?
I mean, like if it put it into words, destiny was fulfilled, and I knew that. I knew that it must come to this day. I knew that it is gonna be my moment. I put everything I had into this moment for the last months since I'm back in NXT, and I think nobody fought harder for this than I did, and you can see it on the performance.
So let me ask you about later on in the night. You've been working so hard to get to this moment. You've been working so hard to win this championship. You've been working so hard to prove yourself in the eyes of the WWE universe, the fan base, and everybody in between. The match ends. You're the new champion. The adrenaline wears off. You're back in your hotel room or you're back in your house, and there's nobody there but you, the four cold walls, and your championship. Do you have that moment when you look in the mirror and you can finally pat yourself on the back? Do you have that moment where you can truly appreciate your accomplishment and what you did on that night?
Sometimes. But let me tell you one thing. Actually, when this moment was there, I felt empty. But empty can be something good sometimes. Because I used to say I have this thing I like to say when one day when I'm gone, I want to go empty. In the sense of I want to go with the knowing that I gave everything I possibly could. Everything. Everything. I have nothing to regret. I have nothing to leave behind. I left it all what I had to offer. And this was one of those moments where I felt this emptiness, but in a very, very good way.
that match was incredible. The show was incredible. I was talking about it with Bully here on the show, Ilya, that NXT show reminded me of those old takeover shows from, 5, 6 years ago. Like, I feel like NXT has really gotten to a point where it's grabbed the pro wrestling world's attention. And when I look at that show from Saturday from top to bottom, it was one of the best shows of the year. Do you feel the same way?
I feel the same way, and the reason for that is very easy. Everybody is working extremely hard, and that's the thing to say. Like working hard, sometimes used as a phrase for I don't know what, but how much everybody worked to put on their performances of their life to entertain the people, to tell a story, to create an unbelievable evening that nobody will probably forget. Like you mentioned it, this is something very hard to do. It takes a lot from you, and I'm very proud of the brand and the people involved in that they presented such a good product to the people on that night.
Ilya, do you feel that you can elevate the NXT championship to levels that it hasn't been at before? And if so, how do you plan on doing that?
I mean, let me ask you a question. Like, did I elevate every single fight I have been in since I came back to NXT? I
Yes,
was
but
obviously probably.
yes, but now as a champion, it's a different story. What can you bring to the table new or fresh or different that's going to make Ilya Dragunov the NXT world champion that is remembered more than any other NXT world champion?
The thing is, I won't stop. That's the easy thing I can say. There's no one in this business who can deliver this kind of emotion, this kind of passion, this kind of like getting people into that fight. Like when I fight, people feel like they're into that. They feel the pain I feel. They feel the struggle I feel. They feel the fighting spirit I feel. It is just like everything I'm working on has become the ultimate symbol. Like not being even a human anymore. Just a symbol where people can hold on to this. And this is exactly what I can offer to the NXT Championship. Like being a champion who the people believe in. If they look at him, they see something they want to be in a certain part of their life. Like this fighting spirit, you can put it in any area of your life. This is what I offer to the people. You can put in any area of your life, and this is something people want to have this courage to step up and to deliver in the whole sense of their existence.
Ilya, the reason I popped so hard just now is at the beginning of the show today, we talked about a very specific word, and that word was struggle. And you show me the struggle, and you make me believe in your struggle. Can you talk to us about what the struggle means to you and how important the struggle is in real life in this business, but most importantly in the ring?
Everything. The struggle is everything. I mean, like, if everything would be easy, and again, that's something everybody, a lot of people used to say, like, I'm here for the journey. But yeah, you see a lot of people there don't. So they just want to skip one step after another. You got to struggle. You got to feel desperate pain to get to a certain goal. Otherwise, it's not worth anything. Like, if I can get it immediately, what is the sense of it? Where's the fight for it? And this is something I understood very, very, very quick. Because when I struggle, the people feel sympathy for me. When I'm in pain, people feel sympathy for me. And if this is honest, if I really struggle, the people will get a connection to me because they want to see me succeed, to overcome. Easy.
Ilya, that happened on Saturday. It's so funny because one of the things I wanted to bring up in this interview was the crowd on Saturday for the match that you had with Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes is very popular. The fans love Carmelo Hayes. But during that match, I felt like the tide turned with that crowd for you, Ilya. Like I felt like the crowd knew that this was your moment and this was your time to capture that championship. Did you feel the crowd start to back you as that match went on Saturday?
I mean, like at this point, I don't want to take away anything from Carmelo Hayes. This person is absolutely incredible, and he brought the fight on that night like in an uncomparable way. Like he was on the top of his game. Like if you have something this important, you got to step up, and he's stepped up even more than it was possible. This is amazing. So I felt the people were definitely behind him, but I also felt that the people at a certain point, like you mentioned it, knew I'm here for business. Oh no, I'm even more there. I'm here for my destiny, and I'm willing to do everything it takes to achieve it. And I think if you give them people, like I always say, something real, something I mean in reality, they know, well, maybe this is our guy.
Well, Ilya, I want to follow up on that because I don't know what that's like. Obviously, you and Bully do because you step into the ring and you perform in front of an audience. When I perform every day on this show, I'm doing it to Bully. Like I don't see the people that I'm talking to because I'm on the radio. What's it like on Saturday, to be in front of an arena full of people and feel that emotion from that crowd? I mean, what is that like? You know, talk about that moment, winning that championship, having thousands of people surrounding you as you capture that. Like, what is that moment like being in front of the people like you did on Saturday?
It is surreal. It is absolutely surreal. It's like you can imagine that like a big force of energy, like a big energy surrounding you all the time. And this is like energy can be very very calm, but energy can be also be very aggressive, and kind of like conduct this energy, maybe use it, get it into the ring, like play with it, like a I always used to say, like an orchestra, and being the conductor for this, like the maestro. This is something, if you can play with this, if you feel, you just look into those masses and you just feel like they're reacting to you, they recognize you looking into that, you can get them into the fight. This is the most beautiful thing you can have. You can perform, you can, you can perform a match, you can have a fight, but include those people just by staring at them at certain moments. This makes the whole performance, it brings it to a different level. And that's what we did.
I love the fact that you use the word maestro. That is such a great way to put it, because we are the conductors of how that audience reacts. And in wrestling, all too often in the past, I'll say 5 years or so, the wrestlers have been allowing the fan base to conduct what goes on in the ring. And that is not the way it is done, because you don't see that on a Broadway show. You don't see that when you see a live symphony. You are the maestro who conducts the orchestra in which entertains the people. So I'm agreeing with you on that. My question is, during the night, did you get to see any of the other matches, or did you get to watch the card afterwards?
I saw the main event, so I bowed down to the women. It was absolutely fantastic. Sadly, I didn't see too much of before. It is also just because I getting into my zone very, very, very fast on those days. And
So
there's nothing but, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And this is like I can't get like any disturbed. I'm so focused before my fights, before my matches, that there is like no possibility to interrupt this. So after the match, it was easier for me to kind of like recover, slow down, realizing, and just open my mind for different things. But yeah, I definitely heard the reactions. So this is everything I need to hear, to be honest, because like you said, we conduct as maestros the audience. If an audience reacts in a certain way, if they're so hyped up, like the crowd at Bakersfield was, then I don't need to see anything to know that it's amazing.
You spoke about the women. You said bow down to the main event. What about the women's match impressed you the most? And let's single out Tiffany here, because we've been singing her praises on the show from day one. And just earlier in the show, we broke it down some more. As a coworker, somebody that shares a locker room that you see all the time, what about her performance stood out to you so much?
Her adaptability, because you're in there with Becky, which is like an amazing, amazing performer, like a veteran, truly, like in this industry. But specifically for Tiffany, like this person didn't come from the same background as I came from. Like I was on the indies. I had such a long time to figure it out, to learn from a lot of these different people and to figure out, okay, which informations matter to me. This person comes in, I don't know, maybe 2 years by now. I'm not sure about this. And everything I see from her is working so hard day in and day out to keep up with those people who had it not easier, but had more time to get the experience she wants to get so quick. And just hanging in there with one of the best, like in Becky Lynch, like this is just deliver, like keeping up this pace, keeping up this performance with such a strong person in this industry. This is amazing to me. I'm in love with underdogs. I'm in love with people who didn't have the perfect right amount of experience, who don't have the perfect, I don't know, whatever, the perfect basic from the start. But if those people working so hard because they know, because they knew that they need to find a way to keep up with it. If it's just only the hard work, I have so ridiculous respect for Tiffany Stratton.
And you know what's funny is today's the perfect day to talk about Tiffany Stratton, because tonight on NXT we have the beginning of the women's breakout tournament that starts tonight, Tuesday night here, 8 p.m. Eastern time on the USA Cable Network. And Tiffany Stratton was a part of that tournament last year, and she only became a part of it after Nikita Lyons got injured. So it's crazy how the world of pro wrestling works, that if Nikita Lyons didn't get injured, if Tiffany Stratton wasn't given that opportunity, would Tiffany Stratton be where she is right now? And I bring up tonight, and this is going to be the first night of the Ilja Dragunov era on NXT. Like, how does that feel for you that this is the first episode of NXT, Ilja, with you as the champion?
This feeling is not. I can't put this feeling into words. It's a feeling of stepping into the unknown, because I know I'm a target for all those people who want to be in the spot that I am. I mean, like becoming a champion is like one thing, but keep the status of being a champion is another thing, and everybody is hungry. Everybody wants to get there where you are. But on the other thing, I feel so excited because I look forward to any challenge anybody could bring up to, because this is not just a new chapter. I continue to do what I did before, and because I know how hard it will be, I'm gonna even bring it to a different level another time.
Ilya, congratulations. Thank you so much for the time. I know it's a busy day for you. Can't wait to watch NXT tonight, again, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the USA Cable Network. Congratulations, and thanks again for the time.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
This was an interesting one because since we have not seen Roman Reigns at all, now we're going to have another pay-per-view this weekend without Roman Reigns defending that undisputed WWE Universal Championship. It's almost at the point where I forgot the name of the title because it's been so long since he defended it. The Intercontinental Championship, to me, has kind of been the prestigious championship in the WWE because there's history behind it. Gunther made history being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. We see Gunther on TV all the time, and he defends this championship all the time. Now, there was the contract signing last night with him and Ciampa for Fastlane. But, Bully, they pulled an audible, and I loved it. Instead of having this championship match on the pay-per-view this weekend, they decided to have it in the main event on Monday Night Raw. And, Billy, I thought it was a genius decision on the WWE, and I want to get your take on it, and, of course, the nation, because if it was for Fastlane and they gave you this time to talk about it and think about it, Bully, and if you and I are doing a preview of Fastlane, I'm looking at this match as Gunther's going to retain this championship. He moves on. They haven't really done a lot with Ciampa to really get you to buy in that he can buy a Gunther, and it almost would feel like a filler matchup on a pay-per-view just because I think it's a foregone conclusion what the conclusion of the match would be. But I know filler is a strong word because you got two guys that can put on a great match. So filler is the wrong word. But I think you understand where I'm coming from, that I think it would be pretty easy to detect that Gunther would retain the championship. But the way they played this story on Raw last night, I thought was perfect. Having the contract signing and then pulling the audible to have this main event last night, it got me to doubt some things. It got me to buy in a little bit more. And they gave us, close to a 30-minute match on a main event on Raw. I thought that was not only a highlight last night, but a great match to boot.
All right, here we go. I'm glad you backtracked on the word filler.
Yes.
Because you guys can't see me out there, but I made a face on that one. I made the bitter beer face because I don't consider that match filler. I understand where you're coming from about the foregone conclusion, but it's not so much about Ciampa. It's about Gunther, because they are making Gunther so credible. They are now allowing the man to make the championship, comparing him to Pat Patterson and all of the greats and telling us how he has surpassed it. That's why the conclusion would be foregone, because you don't think that as a fan and more as a professional, I know that anybody who has just broken this prestigious record, who is now finally putting the credibility back on the Intercontinental Championship that we haven't seen since the days of a Pedro Morales, or at least in my eyes, that's what it was. I know there's been a couple of really strong IC champions along the way, but to me, as a fan, Pedro was the guy. I didn't see anybody, even when like Rock held it or Miz held it or anybody else held it. Yeah, did they do a great job as the IC champ? Yes. But to me, it was always about Pedro. And now I see Gunther surpassing Pedro. When I think of the Intercontinental Championship, I now think of Gunther. They have washed away the old history, which I think the WWE is trying to do, especially with the Universal Championship also. This is my guy. Gunther's my guy. Card subject to change. Was this all in the works? Was this a part of the plan to announce it for Fastlane, but to do it on Raw? I have no idea. Maybe they came up with this idea yesterday. Maybe they came up with it, a week ago. I don't know, but I liked it. I liked it how something changed, in a split second, in the snap of a finger, because things got so heated at the contract signing that they decided to do it on Raw. Ciampa stepped up to the plate last night on the stick. There was passion. There was energy. There was aggression. He told Gunther, look me in the eye. Gunther was very flippant. And that's a new side of Gunther that I'm seeing coming out of him. He's always very, stoic and stern and, as they call him, the general. And the general doesn't, really, give away these facials showing his hand. Gunther last night was laughing at Ciampa at first. Like, I don't even respect you for the way you came dressed to this contract signing. Look at you. You look like a peasant. Meanwhile, Ciampa's coming from the point of view is, I'm the working man here.
Yep.
I'm the guy that gets very, very few opportunities. So I know I have to make the most of this opportunity. And Ciampa was able to get so fired up that he got Gunther fired up. And he put him in a position where the championship had to be defended right then and there. No, this can't wait till Sunday. We need to do this now. And because I love the style in which these two guys wrestle, fight, perform, put any word you want on it, what I got last night was really, really strong. And yesterday I brought up a certain word, and that word was struggle. And I'll take you back to Wrestle Dream. Danielson, one of the best to ever do it. We know that. Zack Sabre Jr., I'm not like completely a Zack Sabre, I appreciate what he does, but I don't go out of my way to watch a Zack Sabre match the same way I would watch a Danielson match. But seeing them in the ring together, you're going to get one of those really strong technical matches. So at the end, most people were like, wow, that was great. That was great. And I can appreciate it for what they did because I can't do that. But where was the struggle? And that was what I brought up yesterday. That was my point about that match. I didn't see it. The will to win. It seemed very polished and smooth. Last night, I saw a struggle. I saw the will to win. I saw Ciampa fighting for his professional life. Like, if I can win this one, overnight, people are going to be forced to know who I am. These guys went out there and they beat the hell out of each other. They registered, they sold, they struggled. Not only did I see the struggle in the physicality to hit each other with a clothesline as hard as they could, or to chop each other as hard as they could, or to apply a hold as hard as they could. More importantly, I saw the struggle on their face. Dave, right now I am doing what Madonna did in the Vogue video. I'm framing out my face. And as Vince McMahon has taught us, or has taught anybody else, this is where we make our money. Our face is our moneymaker. And I saw the struggle on Gunther's face last night. I saw the struggle on Ciampa's face last night. And that's what made this match believable.
And Bully, we had the same discussion a few weeks back when Gunther was in the ring with Chad Gable. And we talked about the struggle, and we talked about how every movement meant something. It was all with the goal of winning the match. It's, again, we talk about this a lot. It is a lost art in pro wrestling where a lot of times we look at what we see in the ring and it looks very choreographed and it looks very planned and we see a lot of stop and starts. I love matches like the main event that we saw last night because of the word that you used, and that struggle. And that struggle is not just in the movement, but like you said, the facial expressions. Ciampa's expression each time Gunther would kick out at 2, or each time that Ciampa thought that he had Gunther in a compromising position and Gunther was able to get out of it. Or even just the times where you see the fans stand up and start cheering when both Ciampa and Gunther were laid out on the mat during the match. Like, those little things mean so much in pro wrestling. And there was one point in the matchup where they're both laid out. And I guess it was like 19, 20 minutes into the match. And you just see everybody just start clapping. And everybody was on their feet. And it wasn't because they were preferring one wrestler over the other, because they were really appreciating the struggle that was going on in that match. And listen, Bully, who's Tommaso Ciampa on the main roster? Up until last night, I really couldn't give you an answer. Like, I don't think they really have done anything with Ciampa on the main roster. He's done some things with The Miz, but did it ever really catch on? Did it really grab anybody? The answer is no. Completely different Ciampa, the one that we saw on Monday Night Raw last night.
Dave, you just mentioned how the fans were reacting to the match. And I'm going to use the Danielson Sabre match as a comparison to how fans take in a match and react to a match. During Danielson and Sabre, whenever they were done with a particular spot or reversal and this and that and the other thing, and they would both be laying on the mat and selling, what would the fans do? They stand up and they applaud. It's almost like they're giving a standing ovation to a part of a Broadway show in the middle of the show. Oh, that was a spectacular performance during you sang that song great. We're going to give you a standing ovation, and then you're going to go back and sit down and watch the rest of it. I'm personally not a fan of that. If there is a moment in a match where there's a massive double down or everybody is down and there's a lull in the match in which the people can really take it in one time, okay. But for the most part, I've never been a part of the standing ovation in the middle of a match, because what that says to me is this is more of a Broadway performance than it is a fight.
Yeah, it's almost the same. You could compare the reactions. It's almost the same, but it's for a completely different reason. It's not they appreciate the pro wrestling that's going on as an art form or as a technical masterpiece. They're like, oh my God, these guys are beating the shit out of each other. How much more can they possibly give? So we're going to cheer them on because we want to see this fight end.
That's real emotional investment. When you forget what you're seeing is a performance, when you disconnect and now subconsciously are so invested in the fighters that you are cheering them on, and hopefully they hear you and have the will to win.
Yes.
That's what you got from Ciampa and Gunther last night. The people were never giving them standing ovations. The people were just into it so much. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Both guys did great. Did I think Ciampa was going to win? No. And that's all because of the push that Gunther is getting. However, Ciampa made me believe, based on his promo and based on his aggressiveness in the ring, that if he ever had a shot of winning, it would have been last night.